Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports and a bit of a squad update for the Springboks, who touched down in the UK earlier today. There has been a slight tweak to the squad, and Lood de Jager has been called up as after recovering from his niggle, which kept him out of the initial squad for the two Argentina games, as well as the matchday 23 against Argentina over the weekend. And he has come in for Franco Mostert, who has unfortunately suffered a family bereavement and as such has remained in South Africa and will not travel with the side. We expect to actually see a bit of a reduced squad, to be honest. There were talks last week that, the 33-man squad that had been announced would probably be trimmed down to about a 30-man squad to actually then go over to Twickenham for the final match of the Rugby Championship and hopefully the winning match for the Springboks, because all we have to do is win on Saturday unless the All Blacks beat Australia by over 100 points and we don't get a bonus point, for example. So as long as we win this weekend, we've wrapped up the Rugby Championship and we'll know exactly what the situation is, because obviously we've got the Better 2 test happening earlier on Saturday. So by the time we kick off at about 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, it is a bit of an earlier kickoff than we're used to, but yeah, we'll know what we're dealing with. The Better 2 starts at, I think, quarter to 12. So it's in Australia, which means it'll probably start about quarter past 12 because they've never been able to get a schedule right in their life. And then literally just before kickoff, we'll know exactly what that we have to do. But basically a win. That's quite simple. A win is a win. And what's quite interesting is the fact that we didn't drop down that squad. And I think we might see a little bit of rotation, but I also think we need to start keeping certain combinations together. So this is now the up-to-date squad. Now, as far as you understand, Oxenchair did travel and is expected to be fit for this weekend. It was touch and go last week. I think it sounds like one of those situations where if it were a World Cup final, for example, they might have pushed him through, but decided not to risk him and to then give Bonfento a go, who I think stood up for it, to be fair. I think it was a very weird game on Saturday. First half in particular, just trading blows, some brilliance, some awfulness, and some bizarre tries. Ches and Colby incident, so weird. But in the second half, we kicked into gear. And I think what's so exciting about the squad at the moment is the fact that we are seeing players come on and have a really, really good impact, which we maybe didn't see in the initial first few tests. And I think that sort of shows you how much we are growing as a side, that now we've kind of got the understanding of how to deploy these forwards, how to sort of set things up in gear, and how to maybe grind down teams as the game goes on. And the fact that we are able to do that and then to really put them to the sword later on in the match is really encouraging. It's what the great All Black sides used to do. I think it's what the best sides do, where they basically grind you down for 50, 60 minutes, and then when the other opposition team is so tired and they can't really cope, they then just completely flood you. And and all of a sudden you can end up fetching many points, and we saw that over the weekend. I mean, we've hit over 40 points in the last two games, which is really exciting. But I think this weekend will be interesting to see what the total squad will look like. I did think that we saw some big performances over the weekend. I mean, how do you not start Sasha, for example, with the confidence he's gained? But Maliba came on and played really well once again. You've got players like a Jasper Wiese, who's been absolutely tremendous since coming back. But also, you've got players like a Bongi Benambi. He's not featured in the Rugby Championship so far. Vincent Koch is not featured in the Rugby Championship so far. Monson Merva hasn't really got that many opportunities so far. So I think it's going to be quite an interesting team selection. I do think we've got a little bit more leeway with regards to the fact that we don't need a bonus point win, for example. We just need a victory. You don't want to consider that as complacence, and you don't want to maybe sort of sit there and say, okay, well, because we only need just a win, we don't have to necessarily play our best side, because that's a dangerous road to go by. But it's an important thing to factor in. We're not having to go and beat them by 20, 30, 40 points like we've had to previously when it comes to Rugby Championship final days. We just have to get the win, whether it's 5 points, 10 points. We should retain the Rugby Championship for the first time ever, actually. Fun fact. But I also think that at the same time, you've got players who are playing so well, a team playing so well, that there must be a sort of a temptation to just release that similar sort of team again. Because really, this is probably the last time you're going to see that kind of our best, inverted commas, or our current form team before we go against France. And I also think that at the moment, what's going to be quite interesting is we talked about the fact that we kind of now starting to take a horses for courses route. And this whole idea that there isn't a best team, inverted commas. I always maintain that there's still going to be kind of if it's a World Cup final tomorrow, who you're selecting. And I do think that there are certain selections at the moment which do depend on the opposition, and always going to. But I also think that there are players who are just the number one choice at the moment in their position. And I think that that's becoming quite interesting with regards to Kane Moody versus JC Creel, because Kane Moody is playing so well at 13. For example, Sasha the man of the match performance. I mean, we've had Sasha the man of the match performance so far in the Rugby Championship. We've had Andre Pollard with the man of the match performance in the Rugby Championship, and we've had two really good back-to-back games from Mani Liebach as well. So it's really encouraging to see that, and I'm very excited for what's to come. In terms of where I potentially would change, is I think that I'd like to see Martin Murphy get an opportunity, for example, and I think that somebody like a Vincent Koch or Bongi Manambi, if they're going to be in around the squad, we kind of need to see what their role is, and are they going to continue playing? Because I just don't really see the point if they're going to be around and never ever get any game time. Is there opportunity to bring different players in, for example? I mean, I think at the moment, loose tight head's a very interesting position. But yeah, in terms of the team prediction, we're going to obviously do our team prediction tomorrow, and we'll really kind of get into grips as to exactly what's cooking with regards to that. But I think that I predict a 5-3 split, for example. I'm predicting quite a similar team to a certain degree. But also the one thing we know about Russia is you can't predict much. But I do think we are seeing a bit of a changing of the guard. And the fact is that, a lot of the younger players, your Kane Moody, Sashas, Damien Willemses, for example, the way Andre Esterhuizen is playing, and Jesper Wiese, a lot of these players are playing so well, Ruan Nokia in particular, that they're becoming undroppable. So yes, we want to rotate and we want to try different combinations and we want to try to make sure everyone's getting a run out. But at the same time, the people are playing so well that you kind of also just sitting there saying, we've got to give as many games to them as possible. You want to make sure that Sasha's got 20, 30 games going into the next World Cup. Same as the Kane Moody, who is a World Cup winner, but you want to give him as many opportunities as possible. So it's that continued balance. And I'm not entirely sure what we're going to see tomorrow. And that's, I think, the biggest thing when it comes to Rassie Erasmus. We never really know where he's going to go with his team selections. We could see Aaron Vessel start at Lucid, start at hooker, cover Lucid on the bench, cover hooker. We're going to see Markov start and covering hooker once again. How are we going to sort of really change things up? Maybe 6-2 split for shits and gigs. So what do you think? Let me know your predictions for the team down in the comments below. We will be doing a team predicting video tomorrow morning, a live stream in the morning, and we'll basically build our side, and obviously then we get to compare it in the afternoon. So yeah, make sure you go onto mypicks.app and go and predict your team. We're going to put it in the pinned comment as well as on the community tab. I want you guys all going predicting your starting 15s and letting me know what you think Rassie is going to do. I'm going to put on my team a bit later, and then we'll be able to maybe compare us and see where everybody's at. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.